Hello, friends, and welcome back to Like Anime, the podcast about anime that you're currently listening to. We're back. I'm George, and my man Tony is right here with me.
My man.
Man.
Just my man. I don't know if I've ever been referred to as my man.
I feel like we're that close, you know? we were complete strangers when this podcast started, and now look at us. We tolerate each other.
No, we weren't, George. We knew each other for years. What are you talking about?
I just woke up from a coma,
Oh,
so I assume I missed something.
so you have amnesia now.
I think you're friends with me, but I don't know if it...
It doesn't go both ways.
Just kidding. We go way back at this point, and we both like anime, and that's why we started this podcast, because we'd be talking about anime otherwise. The only difference would be is that Tony would still be watching all the anime, and I would not. But this podcast forces me, in a good way. I enjoy it to keep up, and I like it. I actually can weigh in on 2021 anime, and that's what we're about to do today.
2021 anime?
Well, specifically,
That's a lot of anime.
Specifically in the fall, you know. If you clicked on
No, I
this,
meant 2021. Like
we're gonna talk
the
about that
number
many
of
series.
anime.
We're gonna do it rapid fire. So just
We're going to talk about 2021 anime today.
all right.
Let's go alphabetically.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me get my list. I can do it, I think.
No, we gotta do it all from memory.
Oh, no.
Akira.
I don't think that would be the first even.
Yeah. Angel's Egg. No, I'm just.
A channel, because it's
okay,
got the A and
nice,
then the
nice.
dash,
Unless
right?
we're doing
It's probably.
numbers. Gotta go.
Oh, yeah, numbers. 12 Monkeys. Wait, that's not anime?
3 by 3 Eyes. As a.
I haven't seen that. Huh.
That's an early one I saw in high school.
Trying to think of something that I have watched that starts with a number. Sangatsu no Rion? No, I mean, in Japanese it starts with a number, but I don't know if it's written with a number. March Comes In Like a Lion is the English title.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
we're going English titles.
Oh, okay.
We've already messed it up.
All right. Well, then Hunter Hunter. No, I don't know. It's not a number either. You know that number Hunter?
Did you wake up from a coma too?
I don't remember. I think I have amnesia.
Wow. That would suck to wake up from a coma, but then have amnesia and forget that you were ever in a coma. People are like...
I mean, I think when people wake up from comas, they don't remember the coma.
Well, that's true. So people have to tell you you're in a coma. But then if you just kept forgetting that...
Oh, I see.
Like, where were you for 12 years?
So you don't remember anything after the coma, basically, so that you're constantly forgetting. Isn't that like the 50 First Dates? Isn't that...
Drew Barrymore.
That's actually basically the story of that movie, I think. And that starts with a number.
Yes.
We did it.
And it's an anime.
We've come full circle. That's it. Good night, folks. We're done. We have succeeded. And it's an anime. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I mean, almost.
I mean, premise-wise.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But anyway, wow, that was fun. I guess we're gonna jump into it, but we had talked about shouting out once again the series of Poke-tunes.
Oh yeah. So there's a new Poke-tune out. I think it's maybe only on the Japanese channel at this point. But it's properly subbed with like English subtitles and everything.
Yeah.
And, we watched it the other day. It's about Snowrunt, and the animation was neat, looked nice. The story was cute enough, and just if you didn't notice it, it's out there. It's on YouTube. Check it out.
Yeah, it's about 7 minutes long, and there's several of them, and they all have a different art style and a different kind of angle of Pokemon, kind of in real life. No training or battling or anything. It's just kind of like Pokemon, coexisting with humans.
For the most part, yeah. There was the one with the girl with the who was it she met, and then her dad had a Charizard. Like, they didn't show them like in actual, staged battles or anything like that. But
it was like
there was
adjacent to
like
that.
Some battling and stuff associated with it. What was it? Was it a score bunny? What was it?
I don't know if I saw that one actually. Now that you talk about it, I might have missed that one.
What Pokemon was it? Wow, it's annoying me now. Oh, it was a Nidoran.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Nidoran.
I like Nidoran.
You didn't see that?
I don't know. It doesn't sound familiar.
Oh. And basic story is, this girl goes out into the woods and she meets a Nidoran, female, I think. And then I don't know, something happens and they end up going back into town, and then Nidoran's parents, Nido King and Nido Queen, come looking for her in town, and it creates this whole kerfuffle. And
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I'll
oh,
have to
okay,
check that one out.
that's a good one. That one I don't know if it ever got properly subbed or not.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's why you haven't seen it.
I wonder if they've gone back and subbed some of those that weren't, since they're doing it now.
Probably, yeah.
I imagine so. Yeah, I think there's been several. My two favorites so far have been the Gengar one and the one with
Well, the Gengar one was even dubbed, right? Because it was on the English Pokemon
Oh,
channel.
was it?
Wasn't it?
Oh, I don't remember. That's crazy. I didn't think. I don't know. I'll have to recheck that.
Maybe it wasn't. I don't
That's
know.
cool if so. But that one I really like stood out to me. And then there's the one with Scraggy and someone else, but it's like in the style of Looney Tunes. That was kind of an
Oh,
early,
yeah.
early
That was
one.
an early
I
one.
thought that was
Yeah.
pretty creative.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're good. Do you have
Yeah.
any that stand out before we move on?
I mean, the Gengar is probably the best one, really.
Yeah, it's
Honestly.
really cute and sweet and exciting in
Yeah.
parts.
Like story, it has the most depth of story, I guess. Sort of. It's not really that deep, but I don't know.
Yeah, they're all simple. Like they're
Yeah.
10 minutes or less. Like but they're cute and they're fun and family friendly. So that's cool. And I think even if they're not dubbed, the kids can still appreciate them because they're not
Enjoy
that
seeing,
complicated.
yeah.
Like
Especially if it's their favorite Pokemon.
Oh
know?
yeah,
So if you know a kid whose favorite Pokemon is Snorunt,
there you
there
go.
you go. You just
Yeah.
show them that.
Get on it.
Or wait and see if the dub comes out on the English channel. I swear that Gengar one might have been dubbed on the English channel.
You have to check. I'm curious about that. I could totally watch it again. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, check that out.
Yeah. And then I guess we should start talking about more actual televised anime or online, I suppose. There's some of that as well. Did you send me that?
I emailed it to you.
Oh, okay.
I can text it to you if you want to. But yes, we are here, folks. It is fall 2021 anime. We did an episode watching the trailers, got hyped, and there's a lot of shows, and they're not all out yet, but we watched as many as we were interested in watching and could fit into our schedules. And so yeah, we're gonna a whole list. We're gonna run them down.
Yeah. And as I was saying about, there being online anime, well, that's the case. I think anyway, Blue Period, it's like a Netflix. Is it only on Netflix or is it airing as well?
I don't know. It seems kind of exclusive to Netflix.
Yeah,
And that
that's what
also
it seemed
brings
like.
us to I mean, this is the first time that Netflix is changing their model.
Right. Outside of, well, in English speaking countries, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause apparently, I've been told anyway, outside of English speaking countries, they had them pretty much the way that they're releasing them now. But yeah, for us, we had to wait, what, a year for Beastars almost?
Yeah.
For the second season
Better
of
part of a year.
Beastars?
Yeah.
But yeah, now Blue Period and also Komi-san Can't Communicate is also on Netflix. And they're both coming out 2 weeks behind their Japanese releases. And so this one, Blue Period, was released in Japan on September 25th. And then it was released here on, what was it, like the
this last
7th or
Yeah.
something, 10th? I don't remember.
the 9th. I have it on here.
The 9th,
October
okay.
9th, yeah.
And then we've got Komi-san Can't Communicate, which is not out yet, but we both plan on watching that when it does come out. And that one's coming out on October 21st.
Yeah.
According to Netflix.
So our episode will come out the 26th, covering that for sure. Because that was probably in the top 3 when we did the trailers. I think collectively for us of most looking forward to. So.
It is. I mean, probably in the top 3 most anticipated shows of the season. The other 2 being returning shows that you're watching one and not watching the other one.
Pretty much.
So as of the recording, there are 2 episodes out, I believe. Oh no,
I think there's just one.
Yeah, there is just one. I think the next one comes out like tomorrow or the next day or something.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
So not as of the recording, but as of the airing of this episode, there will be 2 episodes out, but this is just covering the first episode. And like we do with our initial impressions, we're not going to do any spoilers. We're not really going to go deep into plot or anything. It's just going to be kind of a quick, like, this is what I think of this show.
Yeah, a quick premise and thoughts.
Yeah, and so Blue Period, like I say, releasing on Netflix 2 weeks behind the Japanese release, and it has some enjoyable character moments, and uh, the story seems like it's just getting started, so there's really not a whole lot to say about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem very extraordinary yet, but it's interesting enough. It's the basic premise of the story is that it's this high school kid who um, has worked really hard to get good grades, and people are always like saying, "Oh, you're just a genius, you know, it's super easy for you." But he like puts in the work and works really hard. And during this episode, he kind of thinks, well, he encounters some art students. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, you're never going to make money, you know, doing art. So why would you pay a bunch of money to go to an expensive art college and not make any money?" And then he somehow, you know, through the course of the show figures out that he is actually interested in art, and it seems like he's deciding to pursue that, perhaps going to art school. So it seems like he's a third year in high school, or a senior graduating class.
I think so. There was one point where he and his buddies were talking, and one of them said like, "Oh, we have 2 years to, we graduate.
Oh,
We
they have
gotta
2 years.
figure." I remembered that
Oh, okay. So the second years do their like career
like halfway through maybe or something.
yeah,
Like,
I guess that makes sense.
kind of figure out what your path is going to be. But yeah, you were spot on with that. I mean, it's like he's very diligent with his schoolwork, but his reasoning is just because like it's what he's supposed to do, and he's very practical about it. Just thinking about like he doesn't know what he wants to do, but he's thinking like, oh, I should do this as like a means to an end. It'll.
Mm,
I don't really know why I'm doing it, but like as far as believing in it, but it just seems like what I should do. And then yeah, he ends up seeing this art, this painting. When he walks, he has an art class. He doesn't really care about it, but then he
right.
like forgets his cigarettes in the art class,
Right.
and then he sees this art piece and kind of inspires him, like passion, like sparks within him, and he starts to feel things. Whereas before, it seems like he was just kind of going through the motions and being a diligent, high schooler.
Yeah. I mean, he was a diligent student when it came to, you know, like the regular subjects and stuff. But for
Yeah,
art class, he didn't think it was anything serious, and he kind of figured he could just do whatever and get a passing grade and didn't care.
yeah,
But now because of this, he has sort of decided to take it more seriously and
mm,
actually, you know, put the effort into art class. And he eventually joins the art club, it seems like.
yeah,
So put the effort into that he had been putting into his other schoolwork as well. So taking art more seriously than he had before, I guess.
yeah. Kind of giving it its credit, which is cool. I like the aspect of him getting inspired by art, but then I like the greater theme, which it seems to be going for, of why, like you said, why pursue a career in art, and go to college for art
Mm,
and spend all this money when there's no like clear career trajectory. It's like
right.
it's very open ended, and that's discussed in this, where he's talking to a
Yeah,
teacher.
he
And
literally asked his art teacher about that. And she says, well, you know, you're young. You should pursue your passions. And, you know, if you, you know, decide to give that up later in life, then I guess
mm,
that's fine, basically. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what she said, but something like that. You're young. You should pursue your passions. And if you
yeah,
have a passion for this, then pursue it regardless of any of that other stuff. You shouldn't worry about that stuff.
yeah, that should be, yeah. And she's I don't know, the teacher is cool because she's not completely head in the clouds, just like filling them up with false hopes and
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
no,
Like she's pretty down to earth
she's
about
a
it.
realist.
Yeah, and so that's kind of cool to have that as a mentor. But yeah, like there's not much else to say, I guess. Like we're just beginning, huh?
Yeah. Like I don't know where the story's going to go. Obviously, he's in the art club and he's going to do art, and
Mm.
the idea is he's going to find out whether he likes it or not. I don't know. This had vibes that reminded me of like Mishiro no Oto a little bit, just
Mm.
sort of that kind of story, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. Yeah,
And I was reminded of those Snow White notes, Mashiro no Oto.
right.
I was reminded of it, I guess, in that sense too. But like, because some of the art you see, like that painting that inspires him, it looked really cool, and there's like some other interesting, but like the actual characters, they're kind of simplistic, like not in kind of a cheap way, like not like it looks trashy, but it's just like not, um, not one of the most luscious anime. Like the
Mm.
art looked really cool, but when it came to the character designs, that was one of my not that it would
Yeah,
turn me off from the show, but it's just like it's a little.
they were pretty standard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of, and I was kind of expecting a little more from a show that's dealing with themes of art, and but
Right.
but I'm still into it. I'll continue to watch. I gave this 6 out of 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm similar on that. I actually scrolled off of it already because I'm
Okay.
trying to prepare for the next one, so I don't have to, hem and
Bumble.
haw. And yeah. But you're the next one.
I am, and actually this time I condensed my notes so they all fit on one page,
Oh, that's good.
so I don't have to be flipping around. So yeah, Sakugan is the next show we're going to talk about. It's one of the many mecha shows coming out this season. Kind of strange. Mecha has some sort of influx going on.
Yeah, I didn't watch this. I don't watch mecha shows.
Except, put a pin in that, folks.
Yeah, he's previewing spoilers for later in our own show. You're spoiling our own show, George.
Yep. So Sakugan, I didn't know what to expect. I watched the trailer and it looked fun. It looked like a fun romp to me. But with this first episode, it turned out to be that. I liked it enough. I also gave it a 6 out of 10. But it was a good start. It's basically the relationship between this father and daughter. They work and she's kind of a genius, or she is a genius, kind of established while watching it. But she's young. She's like, I don't know, 11 or something, 11 or 12, she's really young. But they work together in this like mine. It almost seems like kind of post-apocalyptic or, along those lines. But there's this whole community, and her dad, when they're working, they're in like this sort of mech. It's like a drill mech, and they're like mining for stuff. And but basically, what happens is she aspires to be part of. I didn't write it down, like the name of it, but basically, there's this like sect of people, a part of their group that they go deeper into this mine and they explore, and it can be dangerous and yada yada.
Made in Abyss.
Yeah, it wasn't quite like a
She
crater.
aspires to be a white whistle.
It wasn't quite exactly like that. Because there is a show coming out this season that is like,
really?
what's that one with that mixed media thing? I forget the name of it, but we're not watching it. I don't think so.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, so that's a basic setup, and I won't get into all the spoilers, but there was like some emotional drama in here. Some tragedy occurs, and it kind of sparks on, basically the dad doesn't want her. He's trying to hold on tight to her, and doesn't want her to, go and risk her life. And because it turns out he used to be one of those, whatever they're called. I didn't write down.
White whistles.
Yeah, he used to be a white whistle, and and so yeah, so it's good, kind of setting up their whole adventure. But it was kind of cool. Like I saw some emotion going on, and more character stuff than I was expecting. It was kind of, you could totally, watching it, like see where it was going, but it looked really nice. Always helps for me.
Was it actually emotional for the audience? It doesn't seem like there'd be enough time to set that up to where you actually cared enough.
It wasn't a huge emotional hit, but it was like doing enough to establish these characters and set up that, So I was like, I recognized it for that at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't like it's set up and like had like a whole arc onto it. So I wasn't. I
Right.
still gave it a 6 out of 10, but I appreciate what it was doing. I wasn't expecting it to go in that sort of character drama way. So I appreciate that, and I don't know. I'm not fully committed to it yet, but I like what it's doing, and so I'll check it out. What else did I like about it? It had some cool music. There was this like really cool like guitar musical cue that I played a couple times. The CG was lacking for sure. It wasn't awful, but it was just kind of like, sometimes it doesn't blend into the 2D so well.
Yeah.
But it was okay. It was serviceable. And it was a little quick, kind of, with this character stuff. It could have taken its time, but they're trying to set up so they can get on with the story. So I'm like, all right.
Get into the
fine.
giant robots fighting whatever they're going to fight.
I guess so. I didn't get that. I mean, I know there's got mecha involved, and we see like the drill, mecha that they have. But I don't know. I mean, I guess it's gonna come in at some point.
Hmm.
There's definitely mecha involved. So we'll see. I think there might be more to it, but I don't
Oh, well, speaking of mecha,
your favorite
it's like
genre?
blech.
Black.
Um, Muv Luv Alternative. So some people left some comments on our what we'll be watching video where we both said we weren't going to be watching this. And they said that this served as somewhat of an inspiration for Attack on Titan in some way, I think.
Huh.
Anyway,
Because it's based on like a game, or there's a whole thing with it. Or...
Yeah, I think it's based on a game. And this is so Muv Luv Alternative is the third story in this series, I guess. I really know almost nothing about it, other than what people left in the YouTube comments. But yeah, I decided to check it out because I was sort of ahead on anime at that point, and I was like, "Oh, Muv Luv, all right, I'll check it out." And yeah, it's mecha, and some of the 3D is 3D CG stuff is pretty bad, which we saw in the trailer. Which was one of the main reasons that we decided we weren't watching it. That and its mecha is why I decided I wasn't watching it. But I did watch it, and I don't know. It's like I see the similarities to Attack on Titan, with like this community sort of inside some walls and stuff that are protecting them from something on the outside. But what it's protecting them from reminds me more of like Evangelion, because they're like, I guess, these aliens, and they're coming in from the ocean, just like in Evangelion. But the best part is that none of them is a whiny bitch like Shinji. And, they just get in the robots and then they fight these aliens. They just do their effing job. Without
so basically, you like this because it's not Evangelion.
Without whining for 10 minutes about it. Well, no, I mean, it wasn't like super exciting, and there wasn't like a whole ton of character interest or anything like that. But like, I didn't hate it, which I would have expected that I probably would have been just like, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
It wasn't as stupid, insignificant, actiony as a lot of mecha stuff that that's what I think of when I think of mecha, is just robots punching each other and crap like that. And there was some of that. There was some action, but the action was pretty quick and wasn't like a huge part of the plot or anything like that. And there was like a little bit of character development. It wasn't really like in-depth character development, but there was a little bit, like, we're getting to know these characters.
Yeah.
It's just a first episode, so there's, not much you can get from it. But yeah. I guess that's about all I have to say about that. It's like a 6 out of 10. It's
oh wow,
it's fine so far.
Yeah.
Didn't hate it. Gonna watch another episode and see if I hate that.
Okay.
At some point, I'm gonna drop it, and I know I am, because it's gonna get a little too up its own butt, probably.
Yeah, but you're gonna give it a go.
I'm gonna give it a go until it does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And yeah, I think you would like it, George.
Yeah, you said that. Told me that.
Yeah.
Off mic. Yeah, I might check it out. I don't know. It's hard for me because it's when I really don't like how a show looks when it comes to anime.
The rest of it looks great. It's the 3D CG. Just so the only thing that looks bad, that is the 3D CG that looks bad, is the monster things that they're fighting.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is disappointing.
That looks bad, but all the rest of it looks good.
But that's like the main enemy, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but it's not a huge part of that
first episode.
Well, yeah, of the first episode.
Okay.
It's like short, 5 minutes, where they're actually fighting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I have a short list that I told Tony about of shows I didn't get to, and that's one of them that I was mildly curious about, mainly because you had told me that you liked it, which shocked me.
Right.
So maybe just on that, I'll have to see what it's all about. But I think with that, it brings us to Takt op.Destiny, or however the heck you say it.
That's how I would say it.
Yeah, Takt op.
.Destiny.
.Destiny.
Takt op.Destiny.
Op.Destiny.
I don't know.
Is it a website? Um, road trip.
Yeah, I'll just be, straight up front with this. I did not care for this.
Okay, not into it.
No. Um, do you want to do like a plot summary? All I have is feelings.
Yeah, I mean it's some sort of post-apocalyptic world. Basically, I wrote, if anyone's familiar with the movie A Quiet Place with John Krasinski and
It did
Emily
remind
Blunt.
me of that. Yeah.
Okay, I wrote A Quiet Place, but for music.
Right.
So it's like in A Quiet Place, they can't make any sound.
Right.
But in this, if you play any music, whether
Mm.
it's performed live or it's pre-recorded, these alien monsters who have taken over will come get you.
Yeah. Aliens have rained down from the sky and burrowed into the ground and are like everywhere.
Yeah.
And the sound of music annoys them and they'll attack you
Yep.
if you play music. I don't know if that, like, I don't know. I have problems with that by
Me too.
itself, but
Well, I was wondering
um,
if you, because there were at one point they touched upon like, oh, the more beautiful the piece, the more it enrages them. And I was like, well, what if you
right.
play some like discordant, experimental John Zorn, I don't know, go really crazy, even like Brian Eno, or I don't know, like we play some like weird
Mm.
shit. Do they care? It's just, or are they cool
Yeah.
with that?
What if you have multiple people talking at the same time and the tonalities of their voice are just
That's true.
harmonious and
Yeah.
they're not singing or anything? It's just,
Well, you could also argue that just speech patterns are based on,
oh yeah,
on
there's an up down
melodies.
vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a melody and a cadence and yeah,
hmm
all of that.
Maybe if it's got a good beat and they can dance to it, they go too hard. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, so our story centers around these three people who I forget they have some name, and they're basically have these powers where they can.
Mm.
One of them, the guy, is a sort of a conductor type,
Hmm.
and he can imbue this other girl with powers, and she goes and fights, and then there's this other lady who's older that's just kind of yelling at them the whole time,
Yeah,
of like, "What do you stop doing that? Listen to me!" And then they don't.
yeah.
Which that was probably my favorite part, is like just her getting mad at them. I was amused by that.
Mm.
I don't. I gave this a 6 out of 10, but it was literally the first thing I watched for this season, and so I feel like it might have just been like, freshness bias, like, oh, new shows. But I
Mm.
didn't think it was bad. Like I thought it was okay, but I'm just all we got was the road trip. They're basically, we're somewhere near the West Coast or around there, and they're traveling. They're trying to get to New York, and they keep running into these aliens, but they want to defeat these aliens, but
Mm.
the lady that's in charge, or wants to be in charge, is no, we got to go to New York, we can't be doing all this. And
Got to go to New York to get this girl trained. The main the attacky girl, I don't
mm,
know what you'd call her. She's apparently new to the group. Like it seems like
mm,
they went to go pick her up and now they're traveling back to New York
okay,
so that she can
to
train
train her.
in whatever she needs to do to be able to effectively fight these monsters. Although it seems like she's pretty good at it already. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like she can't beat a bunch of them, but she can beat a couple.
And
Yeah.
didn't this one have bad 3D CG too?
This one didn't bother me too much.
Oh, okay.
I didn't write it down, but I don't know, I saw worse.
Yeah. All I really have about this is that like the art is nice enough for the most part.
Yeah, looks decent.
The concept is odd and the plot is mostly under interesting.
Yeah,
And
and
even
not even developed at this point.
yeah, and even the action sequences are kind of boring. Like
Yeah.
even when she's fighting the monsters, it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I ended up at a 5 out of 10 on this
Okay.
because it just was wholly uninspiring
Mm.
and mostly uninteresting and so I'm dropping it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going for it.
Track dropped Destiny.
Oh shit.
Tact, not tracked. I keep wanting to throw an R in there for some reason.
It's your Track TV.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's it.
Well, you'll go on Track TV to drop it.
Oh, it's already been dropped.
Oh, okay. I hear you. It's a good argument. It didn't really grab me, but I wasn't turned off by it, and so I'll give it a second one just to see.
Isn't his name is Tact, right? That's where the name comes
I
from.
think
His
so.
conductor dude's name is
I
Tact.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. I don't know. For me, it's like I need a little more, but I hear you. So look forward to next week, listeners. But yeah, that brings us to our next one, which
Yeah, this is another one that I recommended to you, George, and not because I liked it.
because you're like, ah, this is like a fishing lure in a blender. I'm
Yeah,
sure George would love
basically, yeah.
this.
It was just like it's odd. It's not bad, but it's like a bit too much. Actually, it's like a lot too much. Like it's just it's rapidly paced. It's visually striking, like assaultive striking. You're being visually assaulted when you watch it.
This sounds
And
like a great review.
see, this is what I'm saying. And like the plot is basically absolute nonsense. It makes sense. Makes it like I can follow the plot. It just is nonsense. Intentionally, I think. Anyway, I
I don't even think you've
didn't.
said the title yet.
Oh, did I not?
The suspense is killing everyone.
Uh, this is Muteking, the dancing hero. Um, yeah, our main character's name is Muteki. We find that out, and then the title makes sense.
Mm.
He's the King Muteki, I guess.
It's a hero that dances.
Not for most of it. Muteki is not, but I mean, I
When
guess.
he transforms.
Yeah, dude, I guess I can kind of spoil the plot. It does have that sort of magical girl vibe where, like, something bad is happening. This DJ puts on a beat and he starts dancing, and then he transforms into Muteking, the dancing hero, who then defeats whatever needs to be defeated.
Mm.
I guess. Like, I think that's what happened. I don't know.
I heard his song is.
It hurt my eyes and brain. Like, I don't. What's it, frontal lobe? My frontal lobe felt numb after having watched it.
Put that on the box. That's a pull quote right there if I ever heard one. My frontal lobe hurt.
No, it didn't hurt. It felt numb.
Oh, it felt numb.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it was different. It had
Sorry.
been assaulted, savagely assaulted.
Wow.
My frontal lobe. But yeah, so the last show I gave a 5 out of 10 and dropped. This is probably going to be the first show that I give a 6 out of 10 and drop. I
think it's happened before, but yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I can't think of what, but I think it has.
I mean, there are shows that like start at a 6 of 10 and then they drop to a 5 of 10 and then I drop
Or it
them.
immediately dropped. Yeah.
But yeah, this is like on episode 1. Like, it's not bad. It's just my visual cortex can't handle it.
I remember when we watched all the trailers for that episode that we recorded. There wasn't a trailer for that one, but we read the synopsis and we were like, "Oh, that sounds like interesting."
Was there not a trailer for it?
I don't think. No, we didn't watch one. There wasn't one
Okay.
available. We did it.
Yeah,
a
that
little
makes
early, I
sense. I
guess.
don't think I would have watched it if there. I mean, if I had seen a trailer for it,
Yeah.
based on what I saw in the episode, I'm not sure I would have watched it. But.
Well, I'll have to check that one out just so I can weigh in and see if I go numb.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I've looked and on like my anime list, it's rated pretty poorly. Apparently, there are a lot of other people who also don't like it.
Okay.
Not like super bad or anything like that. But
yeah, but just
like anything below average on my anime list is usually bad. So
yeah. Well, it sounds like a kid's show, and it sounds like a Saturday morning kind of superhero thing. Like you're just waiting for him to transform. And
I guess
like,
it could be a kid's show. It didn't feel like a kid's
one.
show really, but maybe a little bit.
Okay, maybe not like young kids, but like
Yeah, maybe
preteens or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if you're choosing between this and Muv Luv, I would say try Muv Luv.
Wow.
But
I haven't seen either.
but there is a better chance, not a better chance that you will like this, but you will probably like this more than other people do, which doesn't necessarily mean you'll like it either. I don't know.
You mean me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, okay.
You personally, George. Yeah.
Me, George. All right.
Me, Tony.
Oog.
Oog. Are we doing caveman things
Tony.
now?
Me, George.
Me, George. Me, Tony.
Tony, introduce next show.
No, that one was my show.
No, I know, but I'm asking if you would.
Oh, well, I have to switch back to the list then.
Well.
Oh, you just want me to sing it. I see what you're doing.
Well.
All right. So next up
Don't
is a
act like you
show
don't want to.
that I want to.
Try not to clip, please.
Next up is a show that I am not watching, but that George is. And the reason I am not watching it is because I do not like the main character or any of the many, many, many stories that the main character has been in. And this is the sixth series, I guess, because there's movies and stuff too.
Yeah.
But yes, of course, we were talking about Lupin's Assad.
Yay.
Okay.
It's the only reason Tony's happy that we're covering this.
I do like doing that.
So yeah, I like Lupin. It's funny when I was reading on the Anime News Network. They do their preview guide, and they have a bunch of their writers do reviews on each show, and I read them all, and like pretty much everyone was like, I don't know why, but I like Lupin, but I've never really like delved that too deep into it, and I feel very similar. And
well, you like Fujiko Mine, I know,
yes,
right?
so that's the one I have seen. A woman called Fujiko Mine is
right.
Sort of a.
I don't know why I remember that name. That's very strange, actually.
But yeah, that's kind of like, I mean, I've seen some random Lupin stuff, like Castle of Cagliostro, of course, Miyazaki. I enjoy that. But yeah, I've seen random episodes from maybe like part 4 or something. But this is part 6, and this is an interesting one, and that's why I had to do research on it to get a little more out of it, because it's an Easter egg filled episode, and it's technically an episode 0. And what they're doing is, so Lupin has been around since 1971 as an anime. Lupin the
That's
Third.
almost as long as me. No, wait, that's longer than me. Never mind.
Lupin's older than Tony. And so the last original Japanese voice actor is his name is Kiyoshi Kobayashi, and he voices Jigen, who's the he has a pistol, and he's like kind of the more like film noir kind of. What's that?
He's the guy with the pistol.
He's the guy with the pistol, yeah. And he's cool, he's all like grizzled film noir kind of guy. But this episode was a bit of a send off for him, because he's retiring after 50 years. It's 2021, 1971. He's voiced this character for 50 years.
That math works out.
Which is an incredibly long time. And so yeah, this episode is basically about the character Jigen, basically not fitting in with the times, and not just kind of feeling out of place and just wanting to call it quits. And so this whole episode is from his perspective, and I already said film noir, but it definitely has that vibe of like smoky lounge, room, contemplation.
Is it set in like modern times, or?
It is, yeah, because there's this whole aspect. And I guess I was reading too, because in part 5, I guess that was a big part of it, of Lupin in modern times. And so in this episode, they were being like attacked, or they were being pursued by AI drones. And then the police had like these like plastic guns. They like these new age, like, I don't know what's special about them. But those and other things just at large, just, I guess, essentially making him feel old, and making him want to kind of at least contemplate hanging up his hat. And so I don't understand, and I really like this episode. It was really good. And I know there's a bunch of Easter eggs. I read about one where at one point they're kind of having like a send off party of sorts, and Lupin pulls out like an old bottle of whiskey, and it's from 71, aged, and so call back to when it all started. But it was really cool, and I like the whole aspect, the mood of it. But what I don't understand is that it was kind of ambiguous at the end if Jigen really is leaving, or if this was just kind of a standalone thing to pay tribute to this voice actor who's done so much. So I imagine Jigen's still going to be with them, because he's such a iconic part of that crew.
I see.
But I'm not sure, because this was episode
just
0.
Not going to be voiced by that guy.
Yeah, it's going to be a different.
He's not doing this series.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's officially retired.
Oh, okay.
So really, only negative I had was like it's standalone. I don't know if it's canon in the sense that Jigen will no longer be with them. And then a lot of the stuff was probably lost on me, because I'm not like a avid Lupin watcher. But I aspire to be. But that being said, I like Lupin. I like the whole idea of it, and I'm looking forward to getting into part 6. So that's pretty much all I get.
Okay. What'd you give it?
Oh, this one, 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Okay. Speaking of part 6 and 7 out of 10, it's a good tie-in. Goku Shufudo is next. The Way of the Househusband.
Yes.
So
back.
there were 5 episodes in the initial release, and this is a continuation of that. So it's still considered season 1, but we're starting from episode 6. So episode 6, part 6. See?
Oh, nice.
See?
Nice.
And I do like this show. It's enjoyable to watch. There's really nothing for me to say about it other than it's a continuation, and it pretty much the exact same as I felt about the original ones. Like it's entertaining and it's fun to watch. Yeah,
Nice.
that's it. And I gave it a 7 out of 10. It continues to not disappoint.
Right on. Yeah, this was on my list initially of like, oh, I should catch up on that, and then there was a concern if it was going to get delayed, Netflix jailed,
Right.
but it didn't. So yeah, I should probably add this to my list and go back and watch that. Does it still have the same intro song?
Yes.
Nice.
And outro.
Okay.
Because it's just a continuation of season 1. So,
Okay, right on.
yeah, nothing there changed.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Nothing in fact changed.
Literally nothing.
Yeah.
That's cool because I mean, you've grown. I could tell that you like it even more than you did initially, and it's still doing the same thing. So
I think I do. I think it's, so like back when I watched the first half of the first season, I probably gave it a 6. I might have given it a 7 by the end or something, right? But then, I had to, slog through all of summer 2021 anime, which, hasn't been a total joy. It was a pretty weak season overall, I think. And then yeah, just coming back to this, and yeah, it just felt like, seeing a friend you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, refreshing to have something solid to return to.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, like I say, it's exactly what it was before, and it's,
yeah, stay in the course.
Quite good.
Cool. I will check that out. I already love the the song, the intro song, and I'm into the idea of it. I think
I remember the words. I don't know. I mean, he's not just saying Goku Shufudo, but Goku Shufudo. That's the tune of the song with the wrong words.
I'm headbanging.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good song. Check that out if nothing else.
Yeah, if you haven't, I mean, so each episode has 6 sub episodes within it. And I think it's 18 minutes, so it's like 6 3-minute episodes per episode. It's an easy watch. You can easily go through all 10 that are currently available, I believe.
Yeah, goes down smooth.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's a good time.
Well,
what do you got?
That's going to bring us to a show that only I watched. My Love Story Redux. No, I'm kidding. My Senpai is annoying. Tony gave me a lot of crap for this one, and now it's time to,
prove him right.
Time to weigh in. Yeah, I mean, it's the first episode, so we're only getting a little bit here. So I'm curious where it's going. But I liked it enough. I gave this one a 6 out of 10. So essentially, the main character is really small. She's technically an adult, and she has an office job, but she's really short and small in stature.
Looks like an elementary school student or something.
Yeah,
basically,
just
right?
like which is a thing. And so she kind of has a complex about, she wants to be perceived as an adult, and she wants to, she's very serious about her job. She puts a lot of work into it, and she's very, she's very self-aware too of how people perceive her, and she's always trying to, kind of cut them off at the pass, and try to, show them that she's an adult, It's got this whole theme going on. And then mixed with that, she has the titular senpai is this guy who I didn't write down his name, but he's a bit large, broad-shouldered, tall gentleman, and yeah, he's just very jovial and always laughing and just heartily, enjoying life. And she gets annoyed with him, I think, because he seems so carefree, and yet she's like constantly struggling to keep up and improve herself, prove herself almost to herself, by her interactions.
Mm.
Um, and it's interesting dynamic because basically what you learn by the end of the episode is she has a very strong support structure at her workplace. Like there's several people that really care about her and are looking out for her.
Mm.
But in her mind, she kind of feels unworthy of it, and she's always trying to just like she's very steadfast and trying to you know better herself. And so I kind of like that dynamic where like they all accept her and love her as she is, and they're always helping her and looking out for her. But in her mind, it's like it's like cutthroat, and she's gotta gotta keep up. But really, she has like a really strong safety net. And then this one has a cliffhanger of sorts where the two leads, there's this whole snafu, and they upset a client from a mistake she made, and they both go and like apologize formally to the client, and then they make it right, and they one up it, and they make the client happy after that, and then they go out for drinks to celebrate, and they get all toasty. And then she's just like, why do you do all this for me? Why do you stick up for me so much? And why do you, and he says, oh, he's like, I imagine if I, one day had a wife and a child, I'd want my child to be like you, and he says it very earnestly and very,
Right.
very,
I don't think she took it well, though.
yeah. And then she's all drunk, right? So she's like, what do I even say, what do I even say to that? And then she thinks about it for a second, and then she turns to him and she's like, why couldn't I be your wife? And she's saying, and I love this because, and I'm curious where the show is going because it's, first episode, it could go any which way, but I liked it because in the context of their conversation, she's just referring to his hypothetical.
Right.
But the way it comes out is like she's almost like asking, I could be your wife, and so it's that's the cliffhanger.
I see.
And so it was.
So we're not sure if it's romance. Or
yes, romance based, or if it's like if he even sees her that way,
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Is this just like, is it a comedy? Is it like a romantic comedy, or is it like a romantic drama with comedy elements? And it sounds like you don't know yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It definitely has like comedic elements. It doesn't rely super heavily on the gags, and so that's why I'm holding out hope that it will be more than that, because as it stands, like the jokes and gags aren't that funny. Like they're amusing, but but there's no etchiness, there's no pervertedness. It's pretty wholesome, and I like it enough so far. But I'm just wanting some more. Like want to know where it's going to go, but I'm hoping it goes like a little deeper with the character stuff.
Yeah, I think I assumed from the senpai in the title that it was like high school. I don't even remember reading the synopsis for this. If I had read the synopsis, then I would have known that she is old enough to be in the workplace, and it's not one of those like high school senpai situations.
Yeah,
so.
And that's what kind of drew me to it, because I think when we watched the trailer, like saw that they were in the workplace and stuff. So I'm like, okay, it's like adults. Like I'm curious.
I don't remember. I think I saw
that.
the title and I immediately dismissed it, and I might have walked out of the room to get another beer while the trailer was playing. Yeah, it's entirely possible. I did that a couple times.
I get it.
Sometimes rightly so, I think. But
yes, there was one that you totally, the Taisho fairy tale or whatever the hell that was.
Taisho Otomi fairy tale.
Yeah. So that was a good call on your part. Not that I watched it, but. But yeah, so it's wholesome, it's cute, it's not hilarious, but it's amusing, and yeah, I'll let you know how it develops from here.
Yeah, let me know if any drama develops.
Yeah,
that might get me to watch it.
Yeah, the cliffhanger really, like, I was like, oh, intrigued me. Where I was like, okay, this could just be a gag, or it could be something more, a seed of something.
The thing that sparks the thing, the call, not call to action really, but the I don't know,
impetus.
Whatever. Yeah, sure. We'll use that word.
All right, and then we'll use some other words when we talk about Mushoku Tensei.
Oh, Mushoku Tensei. Okay.
Jobless Reincarnation, Season 2.
Not season 2. Continuation of season 1.
Continuation of Season 1.
That's right.
Part
So,
2.
so there are 13 episodes out as of the airing of this episode, and I think also as of the recording. But I got a little jammed up the last couple days in being able to actually watch things. We'll get to that later. But yeah, I fell a little bit behind. I probably in the coming weeks I will probably be able to watch this on time, but for this week, so far all I've got is episode 12 or episode 1 of the second half of season 1, basically. So yeah, I mean it's Mushoku Tensei. If you have seen it, you know what it's about, and if you haven't seen it, then you probably still know what it's about, but don't care to watch it. So I don't think I really need to dive into the plot. It's a continuation, like I said, of the previous. So it sort of just picks up from where we left off. Rudius and what's her name and the spared guy are, trying to get back to their continent. Well, I mean, the two of their continent, not the spared guy. He's from the continent that they're at, the dark continent or whatever it's called. Anyway, I guess I can spoil this because it's episode 12, right?
Yeah,
so
sure,
basically the only thing that happens in this episode is Rudius runs into this weird like demon queen lady, or this lowly girl that claims to be a demon queen. And he helps her, and she decides that she's going to give him like basically a magic power. So now he has this sort of magic eye thing where he can see with one of his eyes, he can see slightly into the future. So it obviously improves his combat skill because he knows exactly what his opponent's going to do before they do it. Yep, and that's it. That's all that happens in this episode. Oh, and a bunch of, he's pervy and stuff, the usual. Nothing new there.
I like how you just tack that on at the end.
Well, I mean, you know what to expect. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, you know what to expect. He's a middle-aged, shut-in otaku, trapped in a prepubescent boy's body.
And some things never change.
And he wants to find the pubescence.
It's a quest for pubescence.
The pubescence.
The pubescence. Wow.
I'm sorry. I just when I said it, I heard both of those words in my head and thought, "Oh, that sounds like Rudy."
At least you're honest.
Yeah.
But hey, I hear you. I mean, I have my shows, that I like. That I have to. There's an element of that kind of thing, and you either enjoy it, you begrudgingly accept it, or you dismiss all of it.
Right. Yeah.
So I totally get that, and this one was one that I couldn't hang with originally.
Yeah, it's everyone has their own scale, like how those things balance, I suppose. For me, it's like it's fine. It's an inherent part of his character. It seems like they're going a little thicker on it now than they did in the first half of the season, but there was also, a good handful of him being sort of pervy in the first half as well. So
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because this is the first time back and he's just right back at it, it strikes me as being stronger than it was before, but I think it's the same, really, to be honest.
So he's as pervy now as he was when he was an isekai baby?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he meets the lowly demon queen, whatever she is, and she basically says, "Oh, I'll give you anything you want for helping me out." And he's like, "Okay," and obviously suggests something inappropriate. And she agrees. And then she's like, "Oh, no, hold on. I've got a boyfriend. I can't do that. Tell you what, let me give you this magic demon eye thing." And that's how that situation happens.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, sweet, demon eye. Great."
Yeah, right.
At least I can see if the next girl's going to take her clothes off in the future.
It was more than just taking her clothes off. But anyway.
Sorry, I don't mean to rag on it.
Speaking of pervy nonsense, what do we got up next, George?
We got more pervy nonsense. Nom nom nom. Yeah, I don't think there's any eating in this. But Mieruko-chan is what we're going to talk about next. And I saw the first 2 episodes
Oh, you watched both of them. Okay.
Yeah, and Tony's only seen the first one.
I'm surprised you didn't drop it after the first one. I would have expected you to.
I needed a little more. I got a
Okay.
little more, and I am indeed dropping it.
Okay. You got a little more of what you didn't want.
God, are you dropping it?
I haven't seen the second episode.
Okay. Well, just wait. All right, so I'll keep it brief, but essentially, it's like the Sixth Sense.
Ish, yeah, ish.
Except she's like our main character, Mieruko, who has the urine colored eyes, which I do like. I still
I wouldn't have thought of that comparison, but you're right.
like. I made that comment when we did the trailer.
Oh, really?
When we
Oh,
watched the
okay.
trailers. But so now it's all I can think of. And honestly, it's probably sad to say, but one of my favorite things about this show is her eyes, and that's pretty freaking weak as far as like
Mm.
things go with this. But yeah, she starts to inexplicably, we're not sure why, starts to see spirits and ghosts and whatnot.
Yeah, I was a little bit confused on that, whether it was something that had been happening before and she was just used to it and that's why she reacted the way she did.
That's what I was expecting. But it didn't, when it first happened, it didn't seem like that.
But yeah, I think later it's sort of indicated that it was like something of her inner monologue was indicated that it was like a new thing. And
yeah,
somehow she just wasn't frightened by these things. And
well, essentially she is terrified, but
she thinks if she reacts, then it'll be worse.
Yeah, because they keep saying like, "Can you see me?"
Right.
So it's like kind of yeah, and unfortunately, it's all in service of some pretty pervy stuff, and it's the kind of pervy stuff that really bothers me because it's like makes me feel perverted.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah, that's like one of the notes I have. It just says George was right. This show has a pervert for a cameraman. I mean, it's animated, so there's obviously no actual cameraman, but it's like the camera just goes to all of those places that a pervert cameraman would.
And when you'll see the second episode, but just imagine what tipped you off in the first episode and magnify that because they go a whole hog. I mean, maybe not whole, but they definitely start the boulder is rolling down the hill. If I can use that as a metaphor. Yeah, I don't know.
You can't choose a different one.
For my notes on the first episode were main character's personality feels flat. Like just not much there, and then I wrote excess of crotch shots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like story wise, in the first episode, there's not a whole lot to go on, like what the show is going to be about, other than like she sees these deceased spirits or whatever, and no one else does.
I can tell you what it's going to be about.
I know that you can.
Well, even just guessing from beyond the second episode. I just think it's going to be a series of gags where they're trying to hide or run from ghosts, but it ends up being some sort of perverted outcome. And then I think her other friends are going to start, two other people that are in the intro and stuff are going to start seeing ghosts as well. And it's just going to expound upon that, the shenanigans, the pervy shenanigans. That's my guess.
Yeah, you might be right. But yes, I am going to check out another episode of this, despite the fact that I believe I gave it a 5, because it is, like unnecessarily, what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I also gave the first episode a 5, and then the second episode got a 4, and it is the only show that I have officially dropped from this fall season.
Okay, all right. I have not yet dropped it, but I haven't watched the second episode yet, which, again, is already out apparently.
Yeah.
So, as of the recording, and so therefore the broadcast of this.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I think it comes out. What day does it come out? Is it a Monday show? Must be a Monday show.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I just didn't get to it yesterday because, well, reasons that will be explained later.
Okay. But yeah, so that's we don't need to spend any more time on that, and we can now move on to our next show, which is Restaurant.
Oh, Restaurant to Another World. All right.
Now this is a second season.
Back to the isekais. This one is in fact a second season, and in fact is being animated by a different studio. And you were going to catch up on the first, and you didn't get quite done with that, and you yet watched any of the second yet. But good news, we're spoiler free because it's just our first impressions.
Yeah,
So
I got time.
I was basically disappointed immediately by the new character art. Like it just it's been since 2017 since I watched this. I watched it when it came out, the first season, and I immediately recognized that it was the art style was different and, in my opinion, worse. And then I paused it and had to look it up and see like who was doing it and stuff like that. And I forget who it was, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's a different studio. That's the main thing. Story wise, it seems like it's the same thing. Like they haven't changed much. How much of the first season have you watched, George?
Only the first episode, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
I liked it, but yeah.
I was trying to remember like how much time they spend outside of the restaurant in all of the first season, basically, which I don't think is as much as they have done so far in the first 2 episodes. I did watch 2 episodes of this one.
Okay.
It seems like, they've got kind of a formula set up where it's like, we're going to introduce a character who's outside, the restaurant and sort of learn a little bit about them. And then they're going to, find the door, the magical door. And then they're going to come into the restaurant. And I mean, that's sort of what happens in the first one, but it feels like in the first series, it was inside the restaurant and you would just see people come in. You didn't necessarily know where they were coming from.
Yeah.
And then there'd be, some stuff that happens inside the restaurant with them eating and sometimes them arguing and things like that. But in this one, yeah, it seems to want to set up the characters outside of that environment before they come into the restaurant. At least that's what's happened in both of the first 2.
I will say in the very first episode, the only one I watched, I don't know her name, but I know she's important. She's like demon lady.
Yeah.
But when they set her up, they show her in her element and she's like going to the door. And so you see it from her perspective and then she goes in. But before that, they had already set up like the restaurant and stuff.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's a running thing they did.
I don't think so. I think a lot of it is just from inside the restaurant. But again, it's been several years since I've seen it. So
yeah.
I might be remembering wrong. But let's see. What else did I have to say? Apparently all the voice actors from the first season are back, at least for the main characters anyway. So no changes there.
That's good.
Story-wise, again, other than that thing where they seem to be setting characters up outside before they come into the restaurant, which I don't remember being a thing in the first one, all the story stuff seems the same. I mean, it's the same writer, so
yeah,
from light novel, I believe. And I don't know. Everything else seems mostly the same. It's just the art has a different sheen on it, I guess I would say.
Yeah,
it's literally just sort of shinier, I think.
Oh, really? Literally?
Yeah.
A literal sheen.
Yeah.
Fresh coat of paint.
Yeah, well, or fresh coat of oil or something. I don't know. They're all kind of shiny, and look just a little bit different. And it bothered me at first. And in the second episode, I could still I'm still aware of it, but like it doesn't matter. Anyway, this is a slice of life show, so there's not going to be anything really to report on this. If anything super awesome happens, if there's new characters or anything like that, then we'll check back in with it. But for now, I'm not going to talk about this week to week, even though, like it's a 6 of 10. It probably would have been a 7 of 10, except for the art style that I don't care for.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fine continuation. I'm going to watch it. I'm probably going to watch the whole thing. I can't think of any reason I wouldn't actually. So, yeah. Did I already say? Yeah, 6 out of 10. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. I don't know what's next because I'm on the wrong thing.
Well, next we have 2 shorts.
2 shorts.
And so these will be quick. The first one
is that rapper from Oakland?
Is that a rapper? 2 Chains.
No, Too Short.
Too Short.
From the 90s, man.
Oh,
this
90s.
Is like I'm showing my age.
Was he in 2 Live Crew?
No, they're from Florida.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's my best guess.
Yeah, no, he's just Too Short. That's what he's known as. He had an album that was quite popular called Life is Too Short.
Okay, nice.
I forget the name of the song, but yeah, I'm not going to do it. Never mind. I was going to actually quote the song, and then I realized that'd be a bad idea.
I like you got some sort of mental check going on there.
It starts off, say ho, can I ask you a question? All right, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Can I axe you?
Yeah.
All right, Kaginado is our first short we're
Oh,
gonna talk
okay.
about,
Kaginado.
and we literally watched this. Came out today, I think,
Yeah.
or when we're recording this, and so we watched. It was 4 minutes long. We watched it while we ate some grub,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it is a
Key
key
Studios or
studio, key
Key,
animation.
something like that. Yeah.
They have a bunch of different shows. I've only seen one of them, which is Air. Where they have Clanad, and they have
Little Busters,
Busters.
Planetarian was referenced in this. I
Yeah.
forget what all the other shows are, but it's Key Animation Studios. They take characters from their most popular shows that they have done, and they made a sort of chibi version of all of these characters. And
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the what's it called why can't I think of the name of it? Attack on Titan Junior High.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like that, or like there was another one where they did that, where they took a bunch of characters from different things and did chibi versions of them in high school or junior
Yeah.
high or something. Anyway, this is that.
It's that, but it's like they just keep like very quickly cycling through different scenes with.
Yeah, I feel like you haven't seen the other two things that I was talking about though.
Oh yeah,
because
maybe not.
they're
That's
just,
what they do too.
Yeah, they're just like that. Yeah.
It was almost. It was like
There's no real plot or anything. It's just like,
yeah.
hey, these are characters that you love, and now they're chibis, and they're going to interact with each other
Yeah.
in ways that you wouldn't expect because they're from different shows.
It's like reference gag.
Yep. Yeah, and in this, I don't think there was any overlap between the shows, right? It was all like individual shows, but I'm sure there will be overlap in the future ones.
I'm not sure. It seemed that way towards the end. It seemed like some of them
maybe
were
there
kind of
was.
mixed,
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
some of them were new to me. So
Again, it's I haven't seen all of the shows. I've seen Clanad, I've seen Air, I've seen Planetarian. I've never seen Little Busters, and I don't remember what the other shows are.
Kanon, is that one of them? Kanon or whatever.
Kanon is that theirs too?
I think it is.
Okay.
Or Kaon.
No,
That's a different
like
Kanon.
Canon. It's spelled
Canon, yeah.
right. Yeah.
But there's another show called Kaon, I think, too.
Kaon is a different thing.
Kaon.
Yeah. That's K-O.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Canon though.
One of those is theirs.
Yeah. Canon, Air, Clanad.
Oh yeah, those all
Yes.
fit together. Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, I've seen most of the ones that I just said, except for Little Busters, I haven't seen. The only one that I recognized was Planetarian because I've seen it most recently. But Clanad and Air and Canon, I haven't seen in so long that I didn't recognize the chibi versions of the characters. Sorry, I don't know. Does that make me not a good enough fan? Probably.
I watched Air multiple times back in the day, and I totally recognized.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh,
those
okay.
characters.
Oh, good.
There's only two of them, but I recognize them. But yeah, it was cute, but definitely like if you're a big Key fan, you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it. You got to. If you've seen every Key show, like this is made for you.
I've seen almost all of them.
Almost,
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, a long time ago.
Yeah, so it's like okay, if that's all you watch is Key.
Like more than 5 years ago for most of them.
Oh wow, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It was cute and short.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I can say about it.
I feel like I checked it out just so I could talk about it here, and I probably won't watch anymore, but I do like Air quite a bit, so I may watch it just for that.
And again, it's one of those slice of life things that like,
yeah,
we're not checking in on it every week because there's not much to say.
Yeah, except just the same thing.
Speaking of short slice of life things, Deji Meets Girl is the next thing that we have to talk about. This is, I didn't actually know it was a short, I think, when we watched the trailers for it, but it is a short. It's like, I think 7 minutes or something like that. It was fairly short.
So a little longer than some.
Yeah, a little longer than Kaginado anyway. The first episode is on YouTube. It does not have proper English subtitles. You can, if you're on a computer and using a browser, you can use YouTube to translate the existing Japanese subtitles to English, and you'll get a bad Google translation of those subtitles, which if you understand a little bit of spoken Japanese and can recognize words and figure out a little bit of what they're saying yourself, then it'll be enough to help you to understand it. Anyway, it looks really nice. I was not able to piece together enough of like story from it to say much about like what the story is about even, because of the lack of translation and everything, like I said. But it looked nice, and I wish someone would pick it up and give it proper subtitles so that I can watch it properly, because it like the art was nice.
Yeah, but I was really turned on to the art in the trailer. So I hope so too. I'd like to see a. I haven't checked it out yet, but I'd like to see if I do, a proper subbed version.
Yeah. So I don't even have a rating for it at this time, because I just don't feel like I got enough of it to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But if you want to check it out, it's on the Avex Pictures YouTube channel. That's the company who's releasing it. As far as I know, only episode 1 is up. Episode 2 has come out, but it's not. I checked a couple times this week and it hasn't gone up on the YouTube channel. So I don't know. It'd be cool. If you're in Japan and you do fan subs, pick this one up, fan sub it, send me a link.
There you go. All right. So now we can move on. Got a few more left here. Next one is a show I watched called Platinum End.
Yes, the one with the angels.
Yes. And so our main character starts off, we don't know much about him, but he's done with life. Isn't that great? Where you're like, oh, who's this main character? What's he about? And he's like, I hate everything. I'm ending it all.
I'm going to jump off this roof.
Like, wow, okay, I guess that's that. But yeah, so he goes to jump off a roof. Well, it shows a scene before that where like he's in a convenience store and he thinks about, he grabs this like a melon bun or something, and he's like he doesn't say anything, but he like goes to like put it in his pocket, like steal it, and then he like and like he sighs and he puts it back, and then he goes to jump off a building, and I'm like, well, if you're gonna kill yourself anyway, you might as well stole the bun there. But I'm not.
But if he got caught stealing the bun, then he'd like have to deal with the police, and he might get arrested.
That's true.
And then he wouldn't be able to go and jump off the roof.
Yeah, that would just mess up his whole day.
Yeah.
No, I guess that's true. But anyway, so yeah, he goes top of the building, and trigger alert, I suppose. But yeah, he.
Wait, Studio Trigger? Just kidding.
He jumps off the building and he's falling down, and then I don't know where an angel shows up, and
oh no! Wow,
whoa,
really?
It's an angel. She's got wings and everything. And
that wasn't in the trailer. Oh wait, yes it was.
Yes, it was. So I don't know. This show's weird. I gave this a 5 out of 10.
This show's weird, says George. That is.
It's just.
George likes things that are weird, by the way.
Well, hey, clearly I'm not.
If George says this is weird in the way that he just said this is weird, it means it's bad.
I don't like this setup, because basically, she saves him from killing himself.
Yeah.
And then she reveals that she's like been following him his whole life, and she knows like everything about him.
She's like his guardian angel.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so he's like, okay, whatever. And then she's like, well, I can give you these powers that I have. And he's like, or, well, what she said is that I can give you wings to fly, or I can give you this basically like Cupid's arrow. Anyone you shoot this with will like, do whatever you want. Like fall in love with you.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, in his mind, he's just like, what? And he's like, I don't want either of those things. He tells her, and she's like, and he's like, all right, I'll take both. And I think he said that thinking she would be like, no, I said one or the other. And she says, okay. And he's like, oh, whatever. And then so he gets these things, and they're like two, like, and he has more powers other than this. And essentially he's just way overpowered. And so he can use Cupid's arrow, and then he has this other thing where he can shoot this other arrow that like just forces someone to kill themselves or something.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so strange, but basically
Death Note arrow?
Yeah, right? Yeah. I didn't think of Death Note, but yeah, that's a perfect comparison. And so he gets the wings and stuff, and he can fly anywhere, and I guess people can still see him in the real world, but they can't see the wings. Anyway, I don't know. There's this whole thing.
Well, he didn't die. He's still alive,
yeah.
right?
She saved him, but yeah, gave him wings and stuff. And then she reveals that, we find out that his parents died when he was young, and he was raised by his aunt and uncle. But it turns, I guess I'm spoiling too much.
I mean, it's all backstory, so
Yeah, backstory stuff. But it gets into this angsty like edginess, where like we find out his aunt and uncle actually plotted to murder his parents and his siblings, and he wasn't there. They basically car bombed the family, but he wasn't in the car at the time.
Why does this all sound like something? I don't know. Never mind.
Sounds familiar.
Continue. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I'm actually combining two different things now that I think about it. But
okay.
Anyway.
So he finds all this out, and then he goes to confront the aunt and uncle, and yada yada. He shoots the aunt with the arrow to make, because she's just like a bitch essentially. That's her character,
and so she deserves to die.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, but he shoots her with the Cupid arrow first.
Oh, okay.
And so then she's like all over him, and then she out loud is like, I wish you guys were dead, and so she kills herself because of the Cupid arrow. She's does whatever he says, right?
Okay.
So it's kind of this kind of thing, and I'm like, okay. And then it ends with they reveal that, oh my God, you have now become one of these angels, and there's 13 of you, and you're all vying to become God. There's no God, no one, assuming that role right now. And so now, and then there was some.
That reminds me of something else too.
Oh, really?
Man, this is just a conglomeration of a bunch of different stuff. So like the whole angel guy killing himself or dying or whatever and being rescued by an angel and kind of being isekai'd, like that's a pretty standard isekai trope, right?
Yeah.
The whole idea of her having followed him for his whole life and like wanting to help him and stuff, that reminds me of Megami Sama, or Oh My Goddess, I think is called in English.
Yes.
OG Belle Dandy.
Yeah,
that's her name.
Belle Dandy.
Yeah, she's great. Anyway, but that's like a comedy and stuff. And then like, I don't remember the one about the aunt and uncle plotting to kill the parents in like a car accident thing, but I swear that I've seen that before too.
Oh, wow.
And what was the last thing you just said?
Well, there's like 13 angels vying for
so like the Shinigami thing.
Yeah.
The World Ends With You, is that kind of like a thing that they were doing there a little bit?
Yeah, I guess a little bit, yeah.
I think there's something else, but anyway, it's all been done before.
Yeah.
Simpsons did it.
It's all been done. And that's a good point. It's just kind of all slapped together. I did enjoy the ending theme. It's by Bandmade.
Okay.
I
like Bandmade.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. It's a good song. And I like the idea because basically he's given these powers where he can sort of just cure all for whatever he wants to do, right?
Yeah, do whatever. He makes them fall in love with him, and then they do anything he says, so he can literally make them do anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after all that aunt and uncle stuff, he's like, oh, I need money, I got to get a job. And she's like, just steal it, she's like, who cares? And he's fighting against that. He's like, no, I want to do this right. I don't want to just, why bring more, hate and, violence or whatever, ill will into this world. And so there seems to be a theme for him of like, I have these overpowered things, but I'm going to be virtuous with them and be responsible with them. And so that's the one thing, that's the singular thing that kind of piqued my interest, or I was like, okay, because if that's not there, then it's like, okay, you can just do whatever you want. It's like a sandbox, like, and it's like a lot of isekai I get turned off to because it's like, oh, you're born in another life where you can just, do whatever you want. And I am just not so into that, but I'm like, if they're going to go this other route, maybe. So I'll give it one more, but
given all this power without limitations, so he has to impose self limitations basically, right?
Yeah. And like, self-discipline. Like if that's the core of the show, I'm in, but I'm not sold on it yet. And I'm not even that into it, but I'll give it another one.
All right. You're a brave man.
I am. Thank you.
It sounds awful. I forget what's coming up next.
Oh shoot. Well, I guess I stacked my myself here because next it's Demon Slayer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. The alternation got messed up here. I'm really excited to talk about Demon Slayer.
I'm excited to not listen to you talk about Demon Slayer.
Thanks a lot.
Put some music on these headphones.
So for anyone that doesn't know, the original season of Demon Slayer came out. It's like 26 episodes. and really big, really popular. And then they put out the movie last year, which broke all these records. And instead of being a standard shonen battle or shonen action movie, which would be like a standalone throwaway kind of story, it was actually continuing as like the next arc of the story.
Mm.
And it's, in my mind, it's why it broke all these records. It had all this hype behind it, and it delivered on a lot of it. And it was good. I saw it in theaters. I enjoyed it. And then this new season, they're announcing, or they had announced, I think we talked about last week or whenever that was, but they're readapting that story from the movie, which is the Mugen train arc, is what they call it.
Right.
And so when I first heard that, I was like, oh, I mean, I already saw it, like it's gonna be 7 episodes, it's 7 weeks of like the same stuff. I'm like, all right, whatever. I had some issues with the movie, so I'm like, maybe the show will kind of improve upon them. But to my surprise, this first episode of this new season blew me away, because basically the movie starts. Most of the movie takes place on this train, right? It's called Mugen train, and so the movie starts with them boarding this train. And there's this, have the 3 main characters, and then they're going to meet with one of the main Hashira. It's like the elite demon slayer, group. He's one of them. He's like, he has the flame powers, and he's a fun guy. But yeah, so when they in the movie they get on the train.
He's a mushroom.
A mushroom?
Fungi.
Yeah.
Sorry, please continue.
And so in the movie, they get on the train. They're kind of late, so they run up and they get on the back and they go in, and they find him, and they're like, "Oh, hey, we're supposed to meet up with you." And at the time, he's eating a bento on the train, and he's just a funny character. Like every time he eats food, he just loves food. He just after every bite, he's like, "Umai, umai." And so they come up on him doing this. And so when I first saw it, I'm like, okay, he's eating a bento. This is him. This is the introduction. But with this first episode of this readaptation, we get the prequel. Basically, they're on this train. They're trying to find what's killing all these people on this train. They presume it's a demon. But what we didn't know is that this I forget his name, the Hashira guy, had
Steve?
already. What's that?
Steve?
Yeah, Steve. He had already started his investigation of the train, and there was this whole like prelude to that was not in the movie. And so when this episode first started, I was like, what is happening? But it was really great. It set up like it was a really good episode. 8 out of 10. A solid episode. Had a complete arc. Good characters they introduced, and on top of all that, it sets up this whole backstory for this bento box, which doesn't really have like it's just what he's eating a bento when we first see him in the movie. So it's not really that necessary, but I watched the first part of the movie after watching that episode, and it was just like, oh man, that's so cool. Like I was actually watching with my buddy. We watched that episode first, not knowing it was a prelude, and then we watched the part of the movie because he hadn't seen that either. I was like, that was perfect. It was totally unintentional. But yeah, it was really good. I'm so excited. It's reinvigorated my excitement for this story that I already have seen. There was some CG in the movie that I don't think is that great. So I'm wondering what they'll do with that, and I'm wondering if they'll do anything different. Since same story, it takes place on this train. Are they going to do different angles, mix up the way they tell the story? I mean, the movie was so popular that a ton of people saw it. Like it's Japan's highest grossing film of all time now. And it's the highest anime, gross, of course, since from Japan as well. But yeah, just knowing that, I'm like, will they get creative? So I'm curious to see if there'll be any Easter eggs mixed in there. And trying to think what else. I don't know. Just good show. I love it, and I'm very excited. Yeah, Demon Slayer.
I just have one question and a follow-up.
Okay.
Was there a rock, and did he punch it?
No rocks.
All right.
I don't think there was a single rock.
I don't have a follow-up then, because I was going to ask for how long.
It'd be funny if it turned out you only like the rock punching.
That's all I remember.
I still one of these days I'm gonna go back because it's that third episode. I'm gonna watch that third episode. I'm gonna get a stopwatch ready, and every time like either the rock's on screen or like he's near the rock, I'm gonna have the stopwatch going, and just to because you claim it's the whole episode, but I disagree.
Yeah, it's the whole show. In
It's
fact.
the whole show.
It's the movie, the show, everything. It's just a guy punching a rock the whole time.
Rock Slayer.
Rock Slayer. Hey kid, you want to be a demon slayer? You see that rock? Pretend it's a demon and punch it.
80 episodes
and
later.
punch it and punch it and punch it and punch it.
That's where I was going. Or where you were leading me, probably. But yes.
Yes.
That's enough Demon Slayer talk. I'll be talking much more about Demon Slayer in the future. Look forward to it. But now we got.
I don't look forward to it, and I won't. You can't make me.
But now we got.
Don't tell me what to do.
The Heike Story.
Heike Monogatari.
This is our last one. They saved it for last.
Yes, and this is the reason that I fell behind, is because I watched the first episode when it came out. I think there are 4 episodes out as of the recording of this
5
episode.
actually.
Oh, there are 5 now?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So there's 5 episodes out as of the recording. We're only going to cover the first 2. We agreed to only watch the first 2, and then we're going to do 2 more, and then we're going to do 2 more, and then we'll be caught up. So that'll be cool. Look forward to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I watched the first episode when it came out a month ago, basically, because they come out once a week, and we have 5 episodes now, so it must have been a month ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I watched the first episode a month ago, and then I watched the second episode, like literally yesterday, I think, when I should have been watching other things. I mean, I meant to just watch this episode and then watch other things, but what happened was I watched the second episode, and then I was like very confused about everything because I didn't remember enough from the first episode. And then I thought, I should go back and I should rewatch the first episode. And so I went back and I started rewatching the first episode, and then I was like, I don't understand how these characters relate to each other. I don't know who these characters are. Is there something I was supposed to know going into this? Because like, it feels like there's a lot of stuff that's not explained. So I went to Wikipedia and I looked up the Heike Monogatari, the Heike story, the tale of the Heike, whatever you want to call it. And I read several pages of like that main page, and then there's pages about each of the main characters and stuff in the story as well, and I read a whole bunch of that stuff. So I've completely spoiled myself on the story now, and but I understand a lot more of what's going on, and I think from a Western perspective, like the background story, the Biwa stuff is fine, like it makes sense, but the background story of all of the Heike doesn't really make sense. And I think you're supposed to already know the story, because I assume that this is like a sort of Japanese history thing that, students in Japan probably learn.
Yeah.
But
standard.
we as Western people are not privy to that, I guess. It's not something that I was taught in high school or anything anyway. So,
Yeah.
so I think knowing something about the story helps you sort of understand these events that are going on sort of in the background. They're not like fully background. Anyway, so I read a whole bunch of the Wikipedia page, and then like was watching episode 1, and every time a character came on screen and someone said their name, I would pause it and I would look up that character on Wikipedia so that I understood how they related to everyone else. And then I had to do that for the second episode as well. So yeah, I've spent like, 6 to 8 hours watching 2 episodes.
Wow.
Essentially.
Wow.
I mean, between the 2 times that I watched them.
Yeah.
So altogether.
Jeez.
But I understand what's going on a lot better. I understand how people are related to each other, and I know more about the story than I should at this point, but I think you're supposed to, because there are a few times, like I was talking to George before we started recording about one of the scenes where there's this girl who's getting married, and she says, oh yeah, I'm supposed to get married to so-and-so, and his father is, and then the sentence cuts off, and we cut to a image of the person, presumably his father, the person who she's supposed to be marrying's father. And they never say his name, so we don't even know who he is. And he looks an awful lot like another character that we've seen before. But if you know the story, which upon my second viewing, I did know who he was immediately as soon as he showed up on the screen because I knew who she was marrying. Anyway. I feel like I'm babbling at this point almost, but
yeah, so
is this like useful information?
Well, maybe we should set up the general like premise, but yeah,
Okay.
there's this historically documented
Yes.
people, like real people
Yes.
that are involved in this story. But then we have our main character Biwa, who is sort of insert character, or
Right.
I mean, not entirely, because she does have her own personality and
Right. She's a fictionalization. She's sort of she is our narrator, in fact. But
yeah,
she's sort of our eyes into the story. She's the outside observer that
Mm.
isn't recorded in the history books. And that's sort of the vantage point we're seeing it from, I guess.
Emphasis
Although
on
we
the
see
eyes too.
We see a little bit more than she does, but
So I wrote for my synopsis: heterochromia heroine is offered refuge by her father's executors clan.
I'm disappointed you didn't continue that.
The alliteration.
Yeah.
I liked heterochromia heroine.
No, that's good, and I was hoping it was going to keep going.
It's just a complete gobbledygook.
Heterochromiatic. I don't know. There's got to be some modification to make that correct. But
yeah,
heterochromia heroine has heaping helping of. I don't know.
Well, the Heike.
I feel like I'm doing like a British tabloid headline
now. But yeah, so the basic story as we get is she and her father, who is blind, are kind of walking around town and what 11?
They're like traveling minstrels. 1170 is where we begin with the Heike stuff, which her stuff happens shortly before she goes and meets our main Heike guy that we meet.
Yeah, and like kind of gets acquainted with them.
1170, I believe, is the year.
Yeah. And that whole opening scene, they establish there's this person is being outed as having spoken ill of the Heike clan, and they're being I don't know if they're being put to death, I assume, but they're at least being admonished publicly.
It's not even the person who spoke ill; it's that person's wife.
Oh,
that they're dragging out of the hut and going to murder because her husband spoke. Well, they're going to murder her and her children because her husband spoke ill of the Heike. Yeah.
Yeah. And Biwa and her dad are just kind of walking through and they see what's happening and she's confused. And so he's kind of explaining like quietly. But then she gets all worked up and opens her mouth and they overhear and they end up slaughtering her dad as, taking responsibility for her.
Right.
For her.
They're gonna kill her. And then he steps in and says, no, she's just a child. And they say, well, you raised her, so it's your fault. So you're going to take the punishment. And then they kill him.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, I don't think so.
It's the first minute or two.
Yeah. It's like literally like the inciting incident.
That's the word I was trying to think of earlier. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Oh, nice. So yeah, and then from there, she ends up wandering or going to where the Heike clan is and that's where we learn that she has this ability with her miscolored eye, where she can see like some sort of, when she looks at someone with just that eye, she can see like prophetically like what's going to happen to them, like
right,
not necessarily their demise, but a lot of times it's that, but it's like something in the future that's going to occur.
Right, and technically that's revealed before she goes to see them because it's when they kill her father and his blood splashes across her brown eye. She goes to wipe it off, and then she's only seeing them through the blue eye, and that's when she sees the future of the Heike.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
And it is just the Heike because clan is sort of included in that.
Okay. Okay.
Because they are the Taira clan. Kanji, Taira, Kanji, clan, put together, it's pronounced Heike.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Cool. Good to know.
More stuff I learned from Wikipedia.
Right on. That makes more sense. You watched that episode twice.
Yes.
And did a boatload of research.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, that makes sense. So she she inadvertently, sees the future of the Heike,
Hmm.
and she goes to, I don't know about warn them about it, but basically kind of like be like, you guys suck and you're all gonna die.
Basically, yeah, she's going to rub it in because they killed her father. She's like,
Yeah,
you guys are. I have seen your downfall. I know,
yeah,
bad things are going to happen to you soon. And she sort of expects that they're just going to kill her then. I think she's essentially committing suicide is what she's trying to do.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, but the person that she tells this to happens to be Shigemori,
Mm,
who is later referred to as the conscience of the Heike.
mm.
Um, by
Okay.
by another character,
Yeah.
and he's like just the most even tempered
Mm,
of the Heike, unlike the current ruler of the Heike, who is his father, who is pretty much the one who is put things into motion that have created these roving groups of assassins that Biwa encountered and who killed her father. So
yeah, and kind of indiscriminately just
yeah,
murdering in their name.
yeah. Don't talk bad about the Heike. Anyway, I mean, they were very, very, very powerful at that time in Japan.
Mm,
Like they'd done a lot to get the power that they had, but
mm.
they weren't. Yeah, they were probably the largest clan with a lot of power. Anyway, sorry,
Shigemori, is that his name?
Shigemori. I think
Shigemori.
yeah.
So when he first meets Biwa, which isn't her actual name, she gives that name to herself based on her name of her instrument,
Right,
right?
because she said her father never said her name, so she didn't know what it was.
Mm. That's
Um,
that's
and I didn't go back and listen to the beginning again to see what he called her. 'Cause
yeah,
I think he called her something, but
something, yeah.
anyway, I'll assume that he doesn't call her by a name.
And so the Shigemori is even tempered, but he also, coincidentally, has heterochromia and
Oh
also
yes.
has an ability, an innate ability along with that, where he can kind of see like somebody's past or like
Mm,
where they come from, and so he's able to look at her and see what happened to her and
hmm.
know it without her expressing it.
Right, without her saying, he knows that the Heike killed her father and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting thing when she covers her brown eye. So she
Tony.
has a blue eye and a brown eye. When she covers the one that's not blue, she sees the future. But Shigemori, he covers his blue eye,
Mm.
and then he's only seeing the past
Oh,
out of the other
interesting.
one. So I don't know.
Huh.
It's just a little nuance thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that seeing the future and past stuff is not part of the original story. Also,
What?
obviously, yeah,
I figured, but I do like in this story, I do like their dynamic, that they share that in common, although it's slightly different. But then he sees, I think he pities her to an extent, but then he also sees the use she could the use she could be for
mm.
the clan itself.
Yeah. He says it outright. He
Yeah.
says, you're gonna stay here, and hopefully you use that eye of yours to tell me what fate is going to befall my family,
Mm,
and then I can hopefully prevent it. And she
mm.
says, "No dice, old man. I ain't telling you that. You all killed my dad. I'm not going to do anything to help you."
But then
And he's like, that's all right. I'll help you out anyway.
but then they feed her. That changes everything.
She still doesn't tell him anything.
No, it's true, but
Yeah.
she sticks around and
Yeah.
and I guess we don't have to, like we said, we don't have to break down all of this, but just to set it up. And I also love her character. She's kind of a scrappy kid, and she's got spunk, and she was raised, dressed as a boy, and so she's kind of got that tomboyish nature to her, and she makes a lot of funny grunting noises,
Mm.
and they're trying to like, get her to wear, girls' clothing, or trying to get her to do something. She's like,
Do you? I'll give you one guess who the voice actress is for Biwa.
one guess. Is it
Yeah.
your OP? What is her? I don't know her name, but she voiced
Yuki
Kumiko.
Aoi. She what?
Kumiko?
Kumiko. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She
Nice.
voiced Kumiko. She voiced Madoka. She
Oh
voiced
yes.
the Witch of the Highlands
Oh
from
yes,
Slime 300. She does
yeah,
a lot of different voices, and
right
yes, she
on.
is the voice in this. And yeah,
She does
like
great.
it the first time that Biwa got mad and started screaming, it was very apparent like that's
Okay,
who it was. Like that
nice.
voice is like it's very distinct. Like the other stuff, not distinct enough. It could be a lot of different people, but once she, got mad and started yelling, it was like, oh, I
Nice.
know who that is. And I looked it up and I'm like, yep, that's who it is. Yeah, Yuki Aoi
Okay,
or
yeah,
Aoi Yuki, depending on how you want to.
yeah, I do remember that name now.
Yeah,
Cool. All right, on.
yeah, she's the
Um,
voice of Biwa.
yeah, that adds even more to it. But yeah, so I think that's the basic, premise. Like it centers around Biwa a lot. But to your point, there's a lot of historical
Mm-hmm.
stuff going on that was definitely over my head. There's a lot of names like that. I really liked what I saw, but it was like, yeah, so much family stuff going on. Where I was
There's a
like,
lot of names, and like, yeah, the relations are not made clear. There's a lot of stuff that's not made as clear as it should be. Um, for someone who doesn't know the story already. Like the whole thing with Gyo, the dancing lady.
yeah,
Um,
it's the second episode. Yeah,
that whole subplot that happens there is very minor and almost doesn't matter in this show, but it's like it's a nod to the original story, and I don't know. I feel like it could have been told better in this story so that people that don't know the story would understand what that part of the story is supposed to mean. It's supposed to be sort of casting aspersions on one of the main characters in the show, um, about what a reckless, sort of bad person they are.
mm,
But that story, it doesn't do any of that. It's just like this weird little side thing that happens. And I mean, it does tie into Biwa
mm,
because one of these other, this Gyo dancing lady says that she knows of another of these dancing ladies. I forget what the Japanese word is. I'm sorry. Um,
yeah,
that has heterochromia.
mm,
And of course, Biwa wonders if that might be her mother. And, so there's like that little tie into it. But then, yeah, the rest of it is just like sort of meaningless. And I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I'm curious if it's going to kind of wrap back around, or I'm curious what it's doing in the show. We're still kind of early on. It's like hasn't yet really been revealed what the crux of the story with Biwa is going to be about.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And it may be that all of this historical stuff doesn't matter. And that's why they're not going into depth about it. Um, but I think it's more that just it's something that Japanese people know or have learned. Like they know of this story at least enough to
yeah,
sort of recognize these characters or something. I'm not sure.
probably I bet that's an element to it. But I don't know. I'd be surprised if it was like the whole show was entirely done that way, for like having that prerequisite that you must know
Mm.
about that. But because I enjoyed it, despite that. But
I
it
enjoyed the
was kind of
first episode.
confusing. Yeah,
I enjoyed the first episode quite a lot, but then the second episode, yeah. I mean, it may be just because it had been so long since I watched the first episode,
yeah, you had to revisit it
but I
anyway, so it
just
was
I
like,
just felt like confused about who people were.
yeah, no, it's true. And so it's, yeah, I'm very curious to see, yeah, how it's going to unfold now. If like we're going to need to know all these people, or what. But that being
Well, I can
said,
tell you what happens next in the tale of the Heike.
well, don't.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to know, but I'll have to.
I mean, you can read it on Wikipedia yourself if you want.
There you go. But I might have to finish the show first.
Oh, okay.
And then that can, once I know what the show's doing, then all that other stuff maybe can add to my experience of it.
Maybe it'll probably be like you'll read it and then you'll have to rewatch the show
Yeah, I gotta
so
rewatch
that
it
it
all.
all makes sense.
And hey, that might happen. I could see us, depending.
It's a gorgeous show.
Oh
Like
yeah,
like
I was gonna segue. Science Saru, like,
gorgeous, yeah, gorgeous art, good animation, good quality animation.
mhm.
Story is like at this point it's hazy, maybe intentionally so. Maybe we talked about that a lot. That's
Yeah,
all we talked about so far is pretty much story. So, um, but yeah, looks good,
Looks great, yeah.
sounds good.
And it's another one of
Best
those.
voice actress in the biz, you know.
There you go. Yeah, we already know who's winning your best voice actor of fall.
3 seasons in a row, you think? Oh,
um,
spoilers for.
oh snap. Um, but yeah, it looks great, and it does that thing with because I was kind of harping on Blue Period earlier with its simplistic character designs, but
Mm,
this does that too, but it's just done in a very creative. It's an aesthetic that they
mm,
just do so well. Everything Science Saru does, even if I don't love the story or whatever, it all looks really great.
mm.
They really pour themselves into the animation, side of things, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we didn't. I don't know. We didn't talk about the time skips.
That's true. Time is kind of rapidly.
It moves pretty quick. We start off in 1170. We said that
Mhm.
already, and then there's a scene with this what appears to be a female biwa with white hair, wearing a red kimono or yukata or something,
Mm.
who sings the next part of the story. Basically, it only lasts like a minute, 30 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
And then after that song, we are now in like 1171 based on the events that are happening. And then we get into the second episode. We start in 1171, and then there's another one of these songs, and then we jump to 1172.
Yeah.
So it's moving at a fairly rapid pace, I guess. But
Yeah.
it's, I guess, sort of maybe following the original story as it was told. It was
Mm.
a story that was, what do you call that? Where it's,
Epic.
yeah, it's an epic, but it's not like a thing that's written down. Like it was told.
Oh, yeah, like a folk tale or something
Yeah, I guess.
handed
Yeah.
down. Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's a story that was told through the years by
Mm.
these traveling, I guess minstrels is probably the right word. Biwa players,
Yeah.
like Biwa and her father. And they, yeah, would tell this story of the Heike.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so it's sort of evoking that by putting in these segments of like
Mm.
a song that explains basically a whole year's worth of the story,
Yeah.
because nothing super important happens there, and it's covered in the song. So
There you go. Yeah. And they don't like expressly state, oh, now we're in this year, but you just kind of
oh yeah,
go with it. Like, okay, we're
yeah,
moving on now to the next part.
yeah. I don't think there's any on-screen titles that tell you where we are or when we are, or anything like that. Yeah. I just know the dates from like events that occur from what I read on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. You did a lot of research, and I'm sure that'll aid you when we continue to talk about this in the future.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like your perspective versus my perspective, given that I know at this point too much of the story.
Yeah, yeah, you know a lot more. So
And you don't know the story except what's been shown in the show. So,
yeah, so yeah, well, we got a good dynamic going though.
Yeah. What else? Was there anything else we wanted to say about this one?
That's all I got.
Yeah. Looks gorgeous. It's
Good music. I mean, the music I like too. I mean,
yeah.
a lot of the on-screen playing, but it had some cool like score as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
What'd you give it?
I gave the first episode a 7 out of 10.
Mm.
The second one I haven't rated yet. I don't know.
Okay.
It's hard, It's like we're still going here. So
Yeah, I gave the first episode a 7 of 10 as well, and then I watched the second episode and was confused, and did the research, and then went back and watched the first and the second episode, and just because of the potential confusing nature of the way the story is being presented, I downgraded it to a 6.
okay.
Just because I think if I hadn't done all of that, like reading on Wikipedia, I'm not sure how I would have. Well, I mean, I guess I know. I watched the second episode and was fairly confused and was like, I just feel like someone's shouting the Cliff's Notes version of this story at me. Yeah. So it would have been lower. So I guess it probably went down lower than a 6, but then it came back up to a 6 once I understood who these people were and what was going on, and the historical significance of it all.
Yeah.
But it's good. It might deserve to be a 7 even. I don't know.
Yeah, see where it's going.
If I didn't have to spend hours on Wikipedia reading, it probably would be a 7 actually. Yeah.
Fair enough. But I think that wraps us up.
Does it? We didn't have anything else?
I mean, we're probably pushing
Trying to
2 hours
think.
here or beyond, so I don't know what else you want to add.
I mean, that's just in the recording. You're going to cut like half of this out.
No, that's what you think.
All right. Well, at least 10 minutes. You're going to cut out 10 minutes. Anyway, yeah, that's going to do it for us, I guess. We're Like Anime. You can find us on the internets at Like Anime, UMLIKEANIME. We're on all the things, like literally all of the things. You can go to like Google Business and search, I don't know, Google Maps. I don't know how it is. Just type in Like Anime. You'll find us. Or if you want, the direct feed to the source, likeanime.com, spelled the same way as I just spelled it. And, there's links to all of our various things like Facebook and Reddit and Discord and Line and all the things.
Shout out to our patrons.
Oh, yeah, and our Patreon is on there too. We post news on the Patreon. We post news for everyone and also some stuff that's just for our patrons. So, become a patron so you can read that super, super classy news that we post just for the patrons.
Yes.
Like Anime is the name of the podcast. And Like Anime Podcast is over.
Over and out.